Now we're going to look at using MaxScript help. First I'm going to hit F11 and bring up the MaxScript listener. Now I'm going to go to the Create panel, click on Box, come down into the Perspective viewport, click and drag, go up, left click, and right click. I've created a box interactively, and because the macro recorder is enabled, that action has been recorded. And as you can see, it's quite a lengthy command. And each one of these items after the word box is a parameter. Most of these are intuitively clear. This defines how many length segments the box will have, how many width segments, height segments, the length of the box, the width of the box, the height of the box, mapping coordinates are on, the position of the box, and the fact that the box is selected. Now, if I want to learn more about this box creation command, I can go to the MaxScript help. I can go to Help and MaxScript Reference. And one thing I can do is just use the table of contents and try to find what I'm looking for. So, for example, start with the MaxScript language reference. Click on the plus sign to expand that part of the tree. And perhaps it's under 3dsmax objects. A lot of different kinds of objects here. None of this just jumps out at me, telling me this is where I can look to find out about creating boxes. So another option is to go to the index and type box. And it'll jump right down to the index entries that start with box. And this is a likely looking one right here, the geometry class. And indeed, this tells me about the box constructor. This is called a constructor because it's constructing a piece of geometry. And these are all the properties. And obviously these correspond to those parameters that we saw. Another possibility is to use the search function. Click on the Search tab, type box, and list topics. I'll just expand this so we can see these a little more completely. So here we have a large number of items in which the word box appears. And this looks like it might be a helpful one, drawing a box with MaxScript. Double-click on that. And indeed, here we have part of a tutorial, and it deals with drawing a box. So here I can see the box command in its simplest form, box, open parenthesis, close parenthesis. Tells me that this creates a box with the default parameters. Also, it's generally better practice to assign an object to a variable, so you can later refer to it by name and manipulate it using that name. So my box equals box, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, assigns that box object to a variable, my box. And it gives me some more sample code down here with a variable assignment and some parameters, which are not the defaults. So perhaps I want to try this line of code out. I can select it. And you can see here, because box was already automatically highlighted when I came in, it unhighlights when I select. I don't like that, so I'm going to unhighlight everything first and then select this code. I'm going to go to Options and refresh. That deselects everything. Now when I select, I can see more clearly exactly what I'm selecting. And I'll Control-C, and I'll just get out of this completely now. Come back here, Control-V. I'm going to go down here and delete this just so I won't be confused by it. Come back up here and hit the Enter key on my number pad. And it creates that box. Another way to get to help, and it's usually a more convenient way when you can use it, is to use the F1 key. So for example, let me type in some code here. So I've just created a cylinder. But now I'd like to find out what are all the parameters that I can use with this. Just click inside the cylinder word, anywhere inside it. and hit F1. And it brings me right to the index entry for cylinder. And I can just click there and see everything I need to know about cylinder. I'm just going to get out of this again. So let's try that same thing with box. Click on box, hit F1, and in this case it actually opens up the help file on drawing a box. So a very common workflow in MaxScript is to do something interactively. So let's say I come down here, I'm hitting the W key to select the Move tool, and I move this. Now I can see that I've got this Move function. I can select that code, put it in here, maybe just change something about it, hit the Enter key on the number pad, and I see that it moves it. Then go to the word itself, hit F1. It brings me to the entry that I need in the index. Double click on that. Now in this case it brings me up a number of different possibilities. So since this is a standard transformation, that's probably what I want. And I'll click on Display. And right away it starts talking about moving a box. So that's the help function in MaxScript. Definitely one of your most important tools for learning and using MaxScript.